Welcome to another week of Wedding Film School Live. We've got a special episode for you. You might notice today is Wednesday. It's not Thursday. And that is so that we could get a legend on the show. But first, I am joined today, first and foremost, by Jay, my week in and week out Wedding Film Live Review co-host. Jay, what's going on with you?
I'm excited
We
to
can
be
hear
here
you.
today.
We can hear you.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here today. One of the things I always appreciate is when people are willing to give back to the community as wedding filmmakers. And one of the things, not to date him at all, but when I first started getting into wedding filmmaking, I remember like me and Jared were like, well, what could you even do with this really? And how could you ever like make money with this? And we didn't know what was out there. And I remember the first time we saw Ray Roman, like it was some film in Italy and he had like jibs and stuff. And we're like, I remember we went and bought a crane, like a jib.
You still use it? That's the real question.
No, it's like a albatross. Like I can't sell that thing. It's so stupid. But
Just a hunk. It's scrap.
But it
metal
was
now.
like, the point is like he was doing something different and pushing the envelope, and definitely, we owe him a lot in our career. So it was really cool that he's willing to join us today. So without further ado, we got Ray Roman here. So how you doing, Ray?
Hey, I'm great.
Yes. So
Can you see me?
Yeah, we can see you.
We can see you. We can hear you.
Okay, cool.
We're good
Yeah,
to go.
thanks for having me. This is great. I love the critique. The critique stuff that you guys are doing, the film critiques. A lot of people don't realize how important these things are because, as a lot of us know, when you finish these edits, you probably sit there and you watch it 20 times, and then you upload it online, and then somebody is wait, I'm seeing a bunch of stuff on screen here.
You're good. You're good to go. That's just back end.
Oh, okay. So I remember myself, back in the day, I'd post a bunch of stuff online and people would catch stuff that I wouldn't catch, even after looking at this thing 20, 30, 40 times. And, in the end, it really trained my eyes to recognize certain things. So, these film critiques, if you're going to have your film critiqued, I definitely wouldn't take anything the wrong way. I would just take it as, kind of like a learning thing. And also, an opportunity to train your eyes to recognize certain things. But excited to be here, excited to see the films, and let's go.
Yeah, we're and by the way, like if you're watching this, even if it's Ray Roman, if it's me, if it's Bobby, like by no means do we have the market cornered. I always tell people it's like, who cares what I think? Do what you. I mean, we're giving you the best opinion we got based on our experience. If you can prove us wrong, go for it. But anyway, here's the goal, guys. Today is we're going to change it up a little bit. We're going to be kind of quick hitting this. So if you're watching our normal reviews, we'll do 3 or 4 films max. We'll do a round of what we like, a round of what we don't like. This time we're going to do it a little differently because we want to get to as many films as possible. So we're going to do probably about 2 minutes of each film, unless Ray says, no, keep this one going. I want to see more of this.
Keep it rolling.
But we want to get like 2 minutes. And so what we're going to be doing, we're going to be doing as many of the members as we can. We also want, if you're in chat, let us know. If you're in chat and you submitted, go ahead and just type like submitted and just let us know that you submitted. We want to know who's here. We want to favor people who are in chat because we think having that dialogue is best.
Yep.
But we're going to kind of get going. You guys ready?
And if you are in chat, we're going to ask you to, if you want us to watch maybe the first 2 minutes or the last 2 minutes, since we are going to section that off and only do a 2-minute segment. If you have a preference, we'll kind of
or maybe like a part of the film that you want us to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then you'll have a brief moment to let us know. Otherwise, we'll just roll with the first 2 minutes and go from there.
Yep, that's kind of how we're gonna do it.
Sweet. Well, are we good to go, Jay, with submitter number 1?
Yes. Let me switch over my audio source.
Cool.
Or my video source. You start talking.
This up as far as what we're doing here. And guys, we're gonna let Ray kind of run the table as far as reviews. You'll hear me and Jay chime in here and there as well. And then, so starting off first, we'll give him the option. It's Grant Fitzgerald from Fitzgerald Films. So Grant, the film you submitted, if you want us to start, just do 2 minutes from the top, or if you have a specific section or the last 2 minutes or something, let us know while we get that queued up. And then, so guys, we're going to work through our members first. You can become a member if you want. Cost just $5 a month, and we appreciate that. That helps the channel do things like this, like our live streams. our podcast, which you saw a little promo for playing there on our separate channel.
This year is
Film School Show.
This year with the podcast season 3, it's banger after banger.
It really is. I'm like, we dropped the first one, which if you didn't watch is Tolman Media, and that's just like nobody in the industry.
So many crazy things are coming from that podcast, Bobby.
Yeah.
Wait till people. I cannot wait.
And then I'm like, all right, we're gonna cool it off for a couple of weeks, right? And then we dropped the one with the planner. What was that, yesterday or something? I'm like,
which
oh my
is
gosh, just
pure
like
gold. If you
info.
have never you need to listen to this podcast. If you are a listener who's like, I want to get into doing weddings even close to what Ray does, you need to understand how planners think. You need to know what's important to them. So this is really good. Next week, we got Sharon from Your Films on the podcast.
Oh, nice.
Yep. So we're
that's gonna be a good one.
Peyton Frank is coming up. There's some really cool, sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't know if people know this person, but I'll just pick someone who I like their films, and we got a couple of those coming up where I'm inspired by them. So it's a really cool year, and I'm excited about everything that we're doing. So the first filmmaker we got is
Grant Fitzgerald, and he said just roll it from the top. And let's see, this was his last wedding of 2022. In fact, you know what? I'm gonna say we're not gonna dive into these descriptions.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of time. So we appreciate you giving
Ray,
us that info.
do you want to know
where
the location is, how much they charge? Is that important? Will that help you?
No.
Okay.
Let's
go into it.
You know, if you gave me the date, that'd help.
Yeah, end of 2022. Yeah. So
cool.
And it was in Minnesota
because he's in Minnesota. Yeah.
Yeah, it was covered in Minnesota. So, all right, let's rock and roll, guys. Here we go. Did I miss it?
We want to congratulate Ryan and Megan on finally making it to their wedding day. Now, I know this was many, many months of planning and stress and anxiety, but all of that has culminated into this day of rejoicing.
Megan, when we first said I love you to each other, I have always dreamt of this day. And now that this day is finally here, I am the happiest I've ever been. I love you unconditionally and without hesitation.
Knowing you for the past 12 years has been something I've treasured in my heart. I'm grateful I've gotten to know you on a deep, intimate level and have shared so many special memories with you. I want nothing else in the world but to share more special moments with you. You, my best friend.
I honestly love this couple so much. I always joke that they are the same person because they have so many things in common. I really do believe that they are made for each other. They bring out the best version of one another while they're together, and their relationship is just so special.
Megan, your wedding day is said to be the happiest of your life. And while it is very happy.
Okay, so we're 2 minutes in, guys.
Yeah. So look, it's really nice. I really like the flow. The only thing that kind of caught me at the beginning, and this is kind of like a personal thing, right? Like I don't dictate styles. I just tell you what my eyes see if it was my work. I never like to see the bride and the groom so fast, like, fully dressed and already together. I think we're like 2-3 shots in, and then I'm already seeing the bride and groom. I always feel like when you watch these things, it should be kind of like a tease, because the bride and the groom, they're like the main event, right? Like you don't want to expose them too quickly. You kind of want to lead the viewer into the whole wedding experience. So, I love the location shots. I feel like, like that shot there, I feel like it just came too quick. Mm-hmm. And then later on, I felt like Grant could have done a better job at tying the visuals into the words. So like, when the toaster was talking about the bride and the groom, I think he was showing like the first reveal of the bride to the bridesmaids or something like that. And I think like that would have been a great opportunity at that speech to introduce those beautiful shots of the bride and groom together walking through the garden and things like that. You know, so just like little things, but you know what? It's really well shot. I really like the visuals, and you know, this is really just all about tweaking and things like that. So like if it was my edit, you know, maybe I would have leaned in that direction, but I don't want to dictate, you know, how Grant, you know, does his films or anything like that. I'm just giving you guys, you know, my own opinion, you know, if it was my own work on screen.
I felt like the details were really nice,
solid.
Bobby. I felt like the details
I also
were
really liked,
really nice.
I love, and you know, I think there's like, there's times where this works and it happens and it's there and you can use it, but like shots like this, like that really, that
really cool.
harsh shadow and
I
don't know,
I
just
love
like
those
creative
shots.
stuff.
Yeah, I love the fact that he's, you know, he's using these shadows. He's going tight so you can actually see the girl's necklace and her chest and dress and the details and all that stuff. You know, a lot of times I see a lot of videographers, they kind of get comfortable with a lens and then they get lazy and they don't want to swap the lens, and you just end up with all the same compositions and things like that. And I just really appreciate the fact that, you know, Grant is really mixing it up in terms of his compositions. You know, he's going from the big wides to the mediums to the tights. So I'm on a little journey here, kind of appreciating this video.
I would say one thing I would notice, Grant, is when you're in these shadows, Grant, I'm just a big, like, she didn't buy a blue dress person. So I would say just get a little more hardcore about how you're handling your whites throughout the day, because I feel like that has to be a consistent presentation. Like, you don't want like a white dress and then the next shot she's in the shadows and it's a blue dress, and I noticed that. So okay, you want to move on, guys? Great film. Very solid work.
Thank you so much, Grant, for kicking us off.
Yes, I wanted to start us off with something good that I knew. So who do we got next, Bobby? So up next we have Alex from Happy Pairs Wedding Videography. Happy Pairs also over the pond.
Yeah, is this the UK or is this Australia?
I thought Happy Pairs was
UK. I think it's UK. I think it's UK. Yeah. We don't have a timeline on this. Sorry, Ray. That's not something we typically ask. So, yeah, shot on the R5, gimbal and handheld.
Well, when we assume it was in the last 3 months of 2022. So.
Yeah.
All right,
cool.
Cool. And I don't know if Alex is in chat or not.
Is.
Usually they are. But...
Is his name Alex?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Where is the video that I'm trying to stop from playing?
Somewhere in the background.
So here, you guys make some small talk for a second. I got it. I found it.
Well, there we go.
There we go. Here we go.
Grant says, thanks to Ray and you other two people.
Great.
My man.
Heading out on our own with our hope in the clouds. And we're starting to see that we're onto something. Feel it coming, we'll keep running. Nothing in our way. And we got no reason to wait. Let the journey take you where it wants to.
Everything. I just love it so much. Now I am going to cry.
Anything we face, we got what it takes. Here we go. All we need is an open road and a chance to see a never-ending world that's beautiful.
By the way, this is like 2.5.
Right.
So I say we just finish this one. But anyway, go ahead, Ray.
All right. Okay. I have to stop it here. Look, this is just jumping so much that the entire viewing experience, I just feel like I'm jumping from one thing to the next, and there's a lot of jump cuts. I'm seeing the bride in so many different locations back to back, and I don't really see any buffer shots. This is why like B-roll shots, detail shots, all this stuff, it's really important, because whenever you want to kind of jump from one scene to the next with the same person, you want something like to allow for the passage of time. So that way, the viewing is just kind of seamless and it's not so jumpy, So like if I'm just seeing the bride in bride preps, getting dressed, and now I'm seeing her coming down the aisle, it's just like a jump,
Yeah.
The visuals are beautiful. Like I really love the shot of the bride coming down the aisle and things like that. But it creates like, almost like if you're driving down a road and there's like the speed bumps, it just feels like there's bumps in the road, and I want to feel like I'm on a highway, things like that. So you want to make the viewing experience. Yeah, you want to coast the viewer through the film, and you don't want it so jumpy. And look, the other thing that I'll tell you, and this is just me, right? Like you have your style, and obviously like your style of music's different from my style of music. But regardless, I feel like most of the shots that I saw from bride preps, they weren't really well thought out shots. These are just, point and shoot type of shots. But, here's the other thing. I don't know if this filmmaker style is more documentary, so maybe that's the thing, is just to catch things as they're happening. It's a little bit more of a documentary style approach. But if it's a cinematic approach, I just feel like you have to be putting thought process behind every shot, especially bride preps, because we're there so long, right? We're there hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours. You have a lot of time to kind of visualize and really put thought process behind a lot of those shots that you're going to introduce into your film. So
I was going to say,
for me, it was just too jumpy. Yeah.
So, one of the ways I look at wedding films, there's a chronological style of editing, right? Where you're kind of like, first they did this, then they did this, and you're trying to walk a person through that way, right? And then there's like thematic editing, where you're like, you have themes you're introducing. Like maybe they say like, you give me so much peace, and you show like a shot of them under the tree together. And I think a lot of times people kind of are caught in the middle, right? Like, so they're like basically editing chronologically, but they're too fast paced, and they don't give you a sense of place. And I think if you're editing like this chronological style where you're kind of just walking someone through the day, you need to anchor people in their locations and anchor them in the moments and actually show passage of time. If you're just doing like a style of editing where it's like sculpting with time and you're like showing like this thematic ideas like of peace and family, and like I think no matter how you're editing, but I think you can't just skip ahead and basically do neither. Where
you just I mean, you'd be surprised if you just put one or two things in there, like you said, just to allow for the passage of time. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah, Bobby, were you gonna say something? I'm gonna keep playing it in the background while we're talking.
Even in those like thematic type edits, I think there's still anchor points.
Oh yeah, well, it's just storytelling dynamics, right? Like you got to give people room to breathe.
Yeah.
When they're watching.
That's a great way to put it. I feel like we just started and we're halfway through, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't even been able to come up for air.
I think the song,
it's all these shots.
The song is wrong to me.
I think so too. I think the song dictated a lot of the editing, or the pace and the quick cuts and the no room for those anchor points, and like, where are we, and here's who.
Well, I'm just looking at this, and this is like, I think this is Wales. I forget if he's Welsh or if he's English. I don't know. Maybe he's Irish. But I thought he's
got great looking footage.
Yep.
Yeah, there's some really solid stuff in here.
Yeah, it's just put together wrong, in my opinion.
Well, I think the vibe is,
if it was my film and things like that, the vibe's a little bit more upbeat, and maybe the region where he's from. This is kind of like.
I was gonna ask you, Ray, because one of the things that we run into a lot here when we have people, I guess we have a lot from the UK who submit, but occasionally elsewhere. And one of the things that we always find hard to like, to really like comment on is like what a wedding film is. Like you Ray, you've kind of transcended wherever you're shooting, whatever continent, doesn't matter. You're making a Ray Roman film, but there is definitely like market specific films where it's like a UK film feels more like this because we've seen that pattern over and over, kind of. Do you like, how do you like Like, do you see any of that? Do you ever get like push and pull when you're shooting somewhere, like if you're in the UK or you're in Australia or something like that?
You know what I think it is? I don't think it's really the clients. I think it's more the videographers that kind of see each other's work. You know, it's almost like everybody
like
sees
hive
each
mind.
other. Yeah, I mean, think about it. Everybody sees each other's packages, and then when you look at videographers' packages, they all look the same.
Yeah.
So I feel like they do the same thing with the work, and that's why it kind of like sets the stage
It gets
for
in this like bubble.
this type of music. Yeah, you know. So listen, don't do anything that any other videographer does. I mean, that's the key to just being different.
Stand out.
Just stand out.
Well, and like try to figure out what works for your couples too, and like what's the difference between this is just a great idea and this is just something someone else did. Like that could be hard, but it's like when I hear this, I'm like wedding music. This is just wedding music. Like no one's ever listened to this song in the outside of a wedding video. And it's like it's like I look at this.
It's fun though, you know, like
it's fun, but
look,
this is an English countryside wedding. To me, it doesn't really match the vibe.
The location looks stunning. The couple looks amazing. And, you know, like I look at it from a technical standpoint, and I feel like this filmmaker did a great job of controlling his exposures, which I really liked. I love the compositions. He's got a lot of content. Like if I had this footage, I'm telling you, I would just drop a bomb. So, you know, I hope he takes the feedback and maybe, you know, just goes back a little bit and, you know, just tweak this thing. This thing has a lot of potential. I'm telling you right now. Yeah. Especially if he has good audio. The other thing that I didn't like towards the beginning was I think the bride was talking at camera. And you couldn't hear what she was saying. So that throws me off right away. Moving mouths with no audio is like a big no-no, at least for me.
I would agree. I would agree.
Yeah.
As a viewer, you just don't know what they're saying. So it just really, you know, it hangs the video up a little bit.
Well, we talk a lot about, Ray, people, when they integrate audio, whether it be camera audio, like just kind of setting a location feel, but especially something you want someone to hear, usually ducking the music, they don't duck the music enough in the mix. So it's like you can hear this guy singing over this person talking, and it's just visually, it just distracts your ear. So we would agree. So who we got next?
We got a fun one here. I watched the first 3 seconds of it, so I think it's gonna be good.
We'll watch this whole film, by the way.
Seconds?
Yeah.
I clicked on it accidentally. So this is from Fabio Brano Films, and I don't think Fabio is in chat, but
it's Italian, I believe.
Yeah, in Italy, but it is a couple. It's It's two photographers who have a studio in Houston who got married in Italy.
Yes, nice. So we're gonna watch this whole film because it's only 2.5 minutes, so we'll just watch the whole thing. But this is good stuff. So here we go.
An old wise man, un vecchio orso, always remember us, ci ricorda sempre, that emotions are inside us and we need to turn them on. Le emozioni sono dentro di noi, dobbiamo solo accenderle.
Serás mi amor para siempre.
That's pretty cool, right?
Great job. Listen, you know, it's different. I feel like it's unique. And you know, this is what filmmakers should be striving for, is just to be different. Because right now, you know, most people's work, you know, it all looks the same, right? But you know, this guy's putting a lot of time and effort into not just editing differently, but shooting differently.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really enjoyed the piece. The only thing that I saw that you know, again, I would do a little bit differently is I would just put in some buffer shots just to allow for the passage of time.
Literally, Ray, that's the whole thing I was thinking the whole time. Is like,
yeah, it was a little jumpy. I feel like, you know, if he can figure out a way to have this same body of work, but make it a little bit more seamless and just flow a little smoother, you know, this guy's really good. You know, he's got a really good eye, you know, for light and angles and lens choices and things like that. So he's doing a great job.
Can I ask you a question? Because this is a good piece that exemplifies a type of piece that I see a lot, and it filmmakers love this crap, right? Which is essentially there's these destination weddings where the couple did like 100 portrait sessions.
Oh yeah.
Basically models. And then from the actual real wedding is almost nothing.
Yeah, and not only that, check this out. You know, I know you've seen this before. So, you know, they'll do like, you know, like you said, they'll do a pre-shoot or a portrait shoot where they do like 1 million controlled shots. But then when it comes to the wedding day, everything is just shot, you know, really poorly compared to, you know, the shots that they had when everything was kind of controlled. There was no pressure, there was no stress, there was no fighting the clock of the wedding day and things like that. So, you know, it kind of exposes you a little bit. You know, I would say, like, you know, on the wedding day, you should be able to shoot just as good as you did on the more controlled portrait day.
Yes,
but it is what it is, you know.
Well,
it's a lot less stress on those
some
days.
of those things are like, that's just, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they totally showed the day, but it felt to me a little bit from an editing standpoint. I was having a little bit of like what was this wedding like though? Like,
the real wedding day seemed to me a couple ceremony shots, all the dancing, which made up most of it, and that stuff in the alleyway as they left or something.
And it was, but it was really cool. It was really beautiful.
Beautiful, yeah.
Yeah, you know, the vibe I got from this thing was it was really from top to bottom loaded with eye candy.
Oh yeah.
You know, so I feel like it's not, you know, it's not like a wedding trailer. I feel like it's one of these teasers that's just loaded with eye candy from top to bottom.
And that might have been a trailer. I'm not sure.
It might have been the whole point of it. It might have been, maybe I'm reading it totally right, but I do think that to me is a little bit of a pet peeve, Ray, is when, not pet peeve, but I have a harder time appreciating as a wedding filmmaker. Like, I'm an event guy first and foremost. It's like, yeah, I mean, that's great. You can shoot a portrait session with someone who's like...
Jay, I know we talked about that. This is going back a little bit, but last time we were at WPPI, and I know you were judging on that panel, you know, for wedding films, and there was this whole talk of like, or maybe it was the year prior to that even, where we were talking about like, should that be separated out?
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you enter a competition with that film versus a real wedding day, like, not to say that wasn't a real wedding day, but like, you have such an advantage as a filmmaker when you have all that content. And maybe that's just like, hey, you want to make the best possible film, Ray, you got to do multi-days.
Yeah. And look, it may just be that he's that good that he's shooting what we think are portrait sessions. He's shooting it on the wedding day, you know, like on a break and things like that.
Yeah,
so,
you don't know.
You never know.
But I tell you, somebody commented, David Anthony, where it feels like the sun just hits different on the other side of the world. And I'm going to tell you, it does. If you ever shoot in Europe, I mean, literally, it could be 9, 10, 11 p.m. at night, and the sun is literally still setting. It's amazing how soft and how slow the sunsets are over there.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot more north than us, right?
No, it's not. Depending on where you are,
it's
really about the angle of the Earth. I mean, if you there used to be painters they'll go to different parts of the country because the sunset is longer or the more purple or things like that. It's all crazy stuff. Who we got next? Great film.
All right.
Great
so
film.
as we queue up the next one, we got one question for you, Ray. It says, could you just dive into a little bit more on what you mean by the passage of time with B-roll? And up next, we have Masterson Media.
So passage of time would be like, if you're going to jump from, say, an outdoor ceremony, and now you're going to start showing reception shots. I just feel like, you have to think about it like this. Think about like, you're taking somebody on a tour, and you just don't want to shock them with the best parts of the tour. You kind of want to lead them down a path and kind of like let them know where they're at, right? So like a buffer shot, for instance, for me, if I was going to jump, say, from like bride preps to, the ceremony or the reception or anything like that, maybe I would show like an epic wide location shot. And then I'd show that shot, because now they know where they're at. The viewer knows where they're at, and it allows for passage of time for the viewer, because it makes no sense that from one shot to the next, the bride, was like teleported from bride preps and now she's standing at the ceremony. So I feel like if you just put a couple buffer shots in there, it allows for the passage of time. And now as the viewer, if you see a bride in a whole new location, it's okay, because some time obviously went by and now you're seeing her again. But if you just do it back to back, it just, visually it just becomes too jumpy.
Unless you're doing jumps on purpose and you're doing like some crazy hype edit.
Yeah,
where
exactly.
I think it's just about like, how are you positioning this? And I think a lot of people are like, this is a linear thing. And then you watch it and you're like, no, this isn't. Like, this is not an intro. It's not a stinger. Like, you're just cutting a lot.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So up next, we have Aaron Masterson Media. And before we cue that, Alex, what's up? We reviewed your film. You should go back like 15 minutes after we're done.
Yep.
Let's do it.
Okay. You ready to play?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
I had a good feeling about Allie and Elliot early on. During our family vacations in Eminence, Missouri, Elliot and I have a standing tradition of rehashing the events of the previous night the next morning. It was clear during our morning debriefing that Elliot thought there was something special about Allie. I'm a big believer that God works in mysterious ways and places us exactly where we need to be in each moment. It feels to me like this was much more than a chance encounter, and instead God's will and divine intervention.
Stars overhead, turn my head and
I was going to say, Ray, how did you feel about those portrait sessions?
I felt like it was, again, it was too jumpy, because, it's just a bride in the room, then the next shot's a bride in the room doing something else, next shot's a bride in the room doing something else. So, he's got beautiful imagery, and I love the thought process with the shots. I just feel like, like these shots are money shots. This is eye candy. And I feel like he can hang on to some of these shots so he can sprinkle it around the film a little bit, like at different parts, just to keep people engaged. Because it seems like here, and I don't know what the rest of the film looks like, but it seems like, he's blowing all his ammunition right at the beginning. And maybe I would save some of this stuff because it just looks so beautiful. But maybe he's got so much content that he's able to do stuff like this. The only thing that I would have loved to have seen is just not be so jumpy. It's just back to back. And the thing is, like, he's not even changing up his composition.
Well, this is what I'll tell you, Ray. This is an 8-minute film. I can't imagine that he can afford to waste these shots.
No, dude, you got to save this stuff. So, the other thing is he's shooting a lot of the same composition. So it's kind of like medium shot, medium shot, medium shot, medium shot. So that's why, it feels jumpy.
I feel like the couple looks uncomfortable. Like I'm looking at the look on their face and I'm like, they don't look natural to me. They're interacting in a very...
That's tough though, because that could be anything. Like, some people are just awkward. The photographer could be. Yeah.
I bet you it was the photographer's fault.
Yeah, it's probably those darn photographers.
Freaking photographers. They probably wore the couple out, and then the videographer had to shoot after that. So, no, the shots are great.
I like some of this stuff right here, showing for a longer film. Like you're showing them set up the details,
setup,
that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I could tell right away that a lot of the detail location shots and couple shots, this videographer's on a gimbal with the same lens and he's just not, he's not changing it up, things like that. Because those shots at the beginning, if he would have mixed it up with like, medium shot and then maybe a tight shot of her hand on his chest or something like that, or her veil, then he could have gotten away with, having all those back-to-back shots and things like that.
Ray, let me ask you about this right here. How do you feel about there's some of this gimbal action coming up? I'll show you, like this right here. That's gimbal. This is gimbal. But then coming up here, this very, I feel like there's a lot of just very unintentional gimbal movements throughout this film, Ray, where he's kind of like, kind of stepping around.
It's not like, it stands out to me. I definitely see it, and I think I'm like really sensitive to that stuff usually, but it's not as bad as it's not terrible, I would say.
No, look, one thing that I definitely see in this film, because he's got really beautiful
hold on, let's hear this audio really quick while we're...
It's just so special. Okay. Thank you for riding the emotional roller coaster with me as we tried to create a family. Thank you for becoming the kind of dad I always knew you'd be. Equal parts patient and loving and fun.
Okay, so that's their kid, so that's good.
That's cool.
And yeah, exactly, and it's fitting the words.
Yep. I think
now one thing that I'll say is that one thing that I'm noticing with these outdoor shots is that he put a lot of thought process behind these shots in terms of the lighting, the angles, clean backgrounds, his lens choice. I mean, look at these shots. They're very well thought out and they look beautiful. Like these are really beautiful looking shots. But then when you see the shots of bride preps, it just seems like everything is just shot very random. Like, that same thought process is just not there. So there's just a lack of consistency in terms of thought process.
Why do you think, how do you think people, like, what tips would you give people to, like, because I think that's a common thing, right, Ray? Is like you get into a room with bride prep and like it's a mess and everything's crazy.
Like here, look at this. Look at the thought process he's doing here for the bride getting ready.
Yep.
It was amazing. Great setups. But the other random stuff, I feel like he can be putting the same kind of thought process also behind those shots.
Yeah. How do you feel about that exit sign?
I would have shot a different angle. I would have shot with the light it's all about backgrounds, it's just studying the backgrounds, but maybe his other option looked worse, so I don't want to judge that too hard.
But I wouldn't put it on for 10 seconds though, is my point.
I would have gone tighter on these bridesmaids so I didn't have to see the exit signs.
I feel like though,
but
Ray,
like, and you could always crop too, right? You can always.
But that's what I think, Ray, is like to get to the top of the game, like this stuff, like that stuff just never makes its way into the film for one reason or the other, whether it be you don't shoot it or you crop it or you hide it. Like, I feel like,
well, I mean, there's a lack of consistency, right? So you're talking about like here, he's shooting backlit, and in all the other great shots, he's shooting with the light, he's shooting with Brent lights. I mean, it just looks really nice, but there's just a lack of consistency, and he did a great job. It's really nice stuff. It can just definitely be tweaked. There definitely could be a lot more thought process that goes into some of the shots. And what we're looking for is just consistency. If you're going to shoot a certain way, shoot that way throughout.
Well, you know what I'm noticing, Ray, is like you do this, like the amount of like table details and like planner kind of stuff I'm putting in a film, it's so much more than most people. Most people, it's like, I'm noticing like not a single one of the filmmakers, except for Grant, really highlighted like their cakes, the tables, the rooms where they're getting ready, like all the actual...
And they don't realize how important that is.
Like, look at this room. This is pretty nice looking. It's got these big ceilings.
It's a nice room. Like, you could have shot some great stuff in here, but I hadn't seen any of it. Just kind of seeing people. So, it's not really telling the story of the day unless you incorporate some of the details that went into the day.
Yeah, because look, they did this. Let's see how this was covered. They got
it's a great location. Let me tell you something, especially like outside of this, reception room. Beautiful location, and even this room looks really nice. They have some really
They
great
have a lit
centerpieces.
dance floor. Like you should
They have a
shoot
lit
the
dance floor.
crap
Yeah,
out
they
of
have
that.
they have hanging bulbs. I mean, you could be getting some wicked bokehs.
Yeah.
You know, especially I don't know what the speeches look like, but yeah.
Black cake. That
you
thing
know.
is a sweet black cake. You know what it is like I notice a lot of filmmakers, and this is what I always try to tell people is like, you should be a good filmmaker and you should be a good shooter, but you should also be a good wedding industry person and know like what plays well in editorial and what plays well with the people who your audience is, which is wedding planners. Like if you can, like,
I was gonna say you're very business savvy, so you know shooting all those details and room shots. It's definitely gonna get you know maybe the planner to even post it.
What do you think about that right there, Ray? Right over here.
What's that?
Oh, sorry.
Right this.
What is it? What is it? What am I seeing?
Oh, that light.
Yeah. Sorry, can you see my mouse?
There's a left side of the screen, Ray. I think where we're paused on the damn.
Oh,
shot.
okay.
There's
I
a
see.
light stand right.
He's got his light set up. Yeah.
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 Not.
I mean, you know, it's all about angles. You know, I mean, you know where your lights are. Obviously, you're not shooting, you know, at your light stand.
Yep.
So, you know, all that stuff is part of thought process. You know, like you set up your lights this way because you intend on shooting this way.
I will
or
say
maybe with
this lighting environment that they're in right now, I would have made them turn the room lights off. Probably. I would have wanted to actually get my levels so that the floor light was affecting the couple. Because right now you have a really serious combination white balance. And you're not.
I mean, they could have definitely dimmed them down.
Yeah.
I think would have looked nicer.
Yeah.
Like as a filmmaker, like if you know, like, okay, this is the hero shot. This is the hero shot. Lit dance floor, smoke. It's gonna be sweet. I gotta expose it the right way.
But how about this? I think what might be happening here is because they're reverse lighting this couple, which means that maybe the actual footage, this couple's underexposed. And by the time they, you know, properly expose them in post, it's kind of blowing out those chandelier lights.
I think there's just too much light in the room. The levels in the room are just too close. Yeah. Either it doesn't have enough light on the couple from his own light, or the room's too. And there's also light coming from the windows. That's tough.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
I'm not blaming them, but look how much nicer
Yeah.
it starts to look as the night goes.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think it's a really solid. Like we're kind of ripping into it because it's kind of a lot
Super
going
solid.
on.
Yeah, these are just, you know, these are little tweaks here and there. You know, it's all about evolving and just, you know, putting a lot more thought process behind your shots. And that's pretty much it.
Yep, I would say so. Good job. Great.
Love it.
job.
We're going to move on to the next one. While you get that queued, it is Drifter Films. And we've got a question for you, Ray, in chat, asking how you like using the Instamic for speeches, if that's something that you use.
It's unbelievable.
Really?
It's unbelievable. It pops on like in a second. If there's ever a surprise speech or anything like that, and you guys have
Those never happen.
No, those never happen.
Well, especially rehearsal dinners.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Oh, nobody's gonna speak. There's no formalities. Next thing you know, there's like eight
Yeah.
people lined up. Yeah. So
Eight
no, they're great.
speeches.
Look, even when it's not a surprise, that Instamic's a phenomenal backup mic to the feed, and you can just you can pop them anywhere, and they're just so fast. The quality's really nice, and yeah, I can't recommend them enough. But I think there was a supply chain issue where people
There
couldn't get
was.
them.
I don't know if that's been solved, but I know there was at one point.
But no, those are great little mics.
Yep.
Sweet. Up next, we have Drifter Films. Jonathan, sorry, 2 minutes only, just because we're trying to get through as many as possible. So that's the way we're going to do it. And
Also, guys, if you
apologies
don't
to
mind dropping a
every
like on this
other week.
video, that would be great.
Yeah, we would appreciate it. So yeah, Drifter Films. I don't think there's any super pertinent information that we have. Let's get into it.
To laugh with, to relax with, and be open around, to be creative and ridiculous with, and to have fun and be a child with. From getting to know Na over the last couple years, it's clear that she shares many of these great traits. She is caring, open-minded, and fun, and she even plays football with us.
That might hold the record for the longest shot
that Noah and Daniel
on screen.
Well, and he's still back on the same shot.
We're back to it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not good, guys.
Yeah, this is look again. I would never show the bride and groom this fast, and that looks like a beautiful location. It looks very picturesque and green, things like that. Maybe I would have been showing that location a little bit more. This, this shot being milked on screen so long tells me there's a lack of content.
Well, this isn't even a good shot.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a little flare in there.
I think
I
think
won't
it can
knock
have its
the
place
shot
somewhere.
Yeah,
I hate that I
won't
can
knock
see the groom's
shot.
face and not the bride's face.
Yeah, she is definitely the priority.
Like who is this lady?
But it's on screen for so long. You have to think about a viewer, right? Like the attention span, number one, online is so short already that you can't have a shot on screen for 10, 12 seconds.
Well, we're 30 seconds
lose
into
your
the
audience.
video, and they've shown 2 shots. One of them is just meh, fine, but it's nothing. It's not a hero shot. This is just not nice.
I mean, it's a nice shot. I just felt like I thought my computer screen froze.
No.
And, I thought the computer screen froze, but no. But yeah, that was way too long. The composition here on the speech is definitely way off. So I would definitely.
Well, and he doesn't look comfortable. It's just not a shot I would want to introduce early in my film. This is to me is like you got to put it in because he's the best man, but it's not like a highlight visually. It's not like it's not even a great thing that he's saying. He's just kind of.
How long is the video total?
The video is 4 minutes long, so we'll go a little more and see if it picks up. But I can tell you it goes back into that shot for another 15
We're
seconds.
convinced that Noah and Daniel are a divine match, and we look forward to sharing many more adventures together with them.
This stuff is way better.
Oh, I love that shot.
All right.
Oh, I mean.
I feel like this has like 2 different shooters.
Yeah, I would have opened up with some of those bride getting ready shots. They look really nice.
Yeah, this is strong.
The lighting's really nice, and then maybe later go back to that couple shot with the flare that it opened up with.
Yeah,
because I don't think that shot is like, hey, don't put it anywhere. I think it could
No,
work.
I thought
Probably
it
not
was-
for that long. I just
it was just a length.
where it was in the length.
I would not use that shot in a film. It's just totally wrong to me.
And
Like
that is
you're like
wedding
shooting like
filmmaking in a
over the
nutshell.
people's heads and like
Come on. Come on.
put them in the middle. Then compose them like with some balance. It just
Jay, somebody is going to scrub through every film you've ever put out and find that exact type of shot. And then
I
rotate
promise
for
you,
it,
no
right?
one is looking at any of our films. We are not popular.
Cool. Well, a couple things, guys. Let's get some likes. We've got over 100 people live, which we appreciate. Thank you very much. We'd love to have you like this.
It's free. It's
and then I just
easy.
want to point out we have some back and forth going on, like, oh, you can't judge anything. You can't tell if a film is good in 2 minutes, and that is correct. But I want to say that.
Oh, hold on. Let me stop you there.
Well,
I can tell if a film is good or not in like 7 seconds.
But
things like that. But like in this case, I thought I wouldn't have watched the rest of the video if I was just watching that first clip.
Yeah.
But as it went on, there was a few nicer shots. Would I have used them? No. Could they have used some improvement? Yes. Were they better than the first shot? Yes. So this is really all.
Honestly, that's
tweaking.
like the
And
weakest critique ever. 2 minutes, like you've never watched a trailer in your life and been like, that movie's gonna suck. Like
I think all this to wrap up, guys, what we want to say is that I think Lamosos kind of in comments here nails it. And he says, the point isn't to identify whether this film is good or bad. It's to have some frame of reference for some errors and strong points so that we can all learn together.
Exactly.
I can tell the type of shooter they are.
Yeah, it's literally what I said at the beginning. I said at the beginning that this is all about training your eye. You know, other people are going to recognize some things that maybe you didn't recognize and things like that. And, you know, you take it with a grain of salt. If it applies to you and your work and your style, you know, maybe you're going to apply it. But this is really just all about pointing out different things. And again, I don't dictate styles. Like, I'm not going to tell you how to, you know, film or edit your work. I'm just going to tell you what I would have done if it was my own work.
Well, and I will tell you what I can tell about you as a filmmaker. Watch, I'm going to show you one shot from this filmmaker, Ray, and we're going to all learn something in about 5 seconds.
All right, and then we're moving on.
This shot right here.
Yeah.
You know what this tells me? This person's not comfortable posing couples. He took the shots from the photographer, and he just
This was a photographer shot for sure.
And he didn't have his own.
Right.
Because if
and
this,
that happens.
this is it does happen, but not to me. Because
no, it doesn't happen because you know what it is, like, you have a very strong command presence, and I feel like you really need a strong command presence to, you know, get the couple doing what you want them to do, rather
do
than
things
just,
that look
you know,
good on video. So it's like, I'm not saying never put the shot in or you suck or something. What I am saying to the filmmaker is, hey, this is fine. I can tell by looking at your portrait session that you were not in command and that you are a little uncomfortable. So if you want to become a better filmmaker, my suggestion is get people in poses that look good on video, get comfortable posing people on video, maybe have a communication skills with the photographer to say, hey, can I get a couple shots with them? Then you won't have to put shots like this in your film where they're clearly just staring at each other like robots. Like, so it's like that's what you can learn in like 1 frame or 2 minutes. Is like not necessarily is like he said, not as a filmer good or bad, but what are some tendencies and things that this filmmaker does that they could work on? That's the point. And also, Ray, we want to get as many people as possible to see Ray. So
that's the other thing. Like, listen, guys, I know you're a little bit bummed out because we're not playing the whole film, but then we would never get to so many filmmakers' films. And quite honestly, I don't need to even see 2 minutes. I just need to see, 30 seconds. And
all right, so
can tell you all about the video.
Next time we have Ray, we're doing 15-second film reviews.
No, we're gonna do full films, but you got to give us $1,000.
Yeah,
right.
We'll see who really wants the critique.
Yeah.
This next one you're gonna like.
So moving on. So this is the name of this company is The Wedding Filmmaker.
That's why I had to pick it.
And Adam is the point of contact.
The Wedding Filmmakers, I believe.
Does he have the domain?
Yes.
theweddingfilmmakers.co.uk.
So kind of.
The .co.
Kind of he does. Kind of.
He's got the UK version of the domain.
Yeah.
But this is in Oxford, England, so this is another UK wedding. So, but I loved the color, so I was like, let's do this one. This one has sick color.
Yeah.
Here we go. Maybe here we go. There it is. Where's my mouse?
This place we're standing in means a lot to me and Alice. It's the place that made us. It's also the place that broke us pretty ruthlessly a number of times along the way. I'm fairly sure a few pieces of our souls are still lodged between the pages of the books.
I just like that, like, he was like, this is what we mean by passive time, sense of place, right? He's saying, this is the place that made us and broke us. Oh, they went to Oxford. Oh, Oxford is special to them. Like that's good storytelling. So good job. Oh, come on.
But ultimately, it would always put us back together again. And we owe so much of who we are as a couple to this place. We met here. We had our first nervous interactions here. We grew together here, did plenty of laughing and plenty of crying here. Our first home together after university was in this city, and we got engaged here. So we wanted to share it with you all.
So, we finally made
Can we
it
stop it here for a second?
Yes.
So, this is a perfect example, where he's got a variety of different shots of the bride and groom at the beginning, but he's mixing up his compositions so it doesn't feel so jump cutty, right? And then what did he do? He went from that and he shows shots of the city and people and traffic and all that stuff, allowing for that passage of time that I was talking about. and now we're in bride and groom getting ready. So it just feels very seamless, and it's flowing.
Well,
I really like it.
It's if you think thematically, the first theme he was place. So he goes, okay, here's our theme of place. Oxford is a character in their wedding film. Mm-hmm. When he was done with that character, now he's like, next. So you felt like a little chapter marker in your brain. Now we're on to the next thing, which is prep, which is great.
Right.
I think that's totally, I agree with you, Ray. A great example.
Yeah.
Show a little bit more on this one.
This city brought us together, was our first home, where we went from strangers to friends to jealous is official.
We need some better
from
audio
dating
there.
To engaged, and now to husband and wife. I think a lot of people dream about falling in love, and I was lucky enough 10 years ago to fall in love with you. But I don't dream about that anymore. Falling is a word associated with downward motion, with instability. Today, in our favourite city, in front of our family and friends.
Can I stop you again?
Yes, you may.
Because I really want to talk about, the buffer shots, that allow for the kind of like passage of time. So like the little things I pick up on, right? So what did you see? You saw a limo headed down the road with the bride in it. And then the very next shot, he went tight on the bouquet, right? And just that shot allowed for the passage of time, because the very next shot, you see the bride coming out of the limo, but if he would have showed the car coming down the road and the next shot is the bride outside the limo, it just would have been too jumpy. But that little bouquet shot was just enough to allow for that little bit of passage of time.
Well, and it covers your moving your position too, because people are smart, man. Like if you are like moving your camera around and stuff, and then you're kind of breaking 180-degree rule. This is awesome right here. This looks amazing.
Yeah.
He's handling those highlights really nice for such a challenging exposure too. So so that's really good. That inside too, that's just incredible light in that cathedral. My God. So
yeah, it's a cool spot.
Yep. Like I would have liked to seen a little bit more. I always will push people and say, like, get those details, get those.
I would just say the audio needs work.
Needs
work. Aside from that, if he's got great audio, these films are they're baller.
Yeah, this is awesome looking. I feel
great room shots. Look at the details. He's got everything covered. He did a really nice job.
This is a good film. Really, really solid film. The audio is a major problem. If you plan on if you really want to integrate, and I would have liked to seen more. This is awesome too, but more of these tables before they were set up. I think you should advocate with whoever's doing the planning. Like, hey, can I have 5 minutes to shoot the tables and all that junk?
Yeah.
I also think this is a film that maybe he could have done like a little bit of a 30-second stinger at the beginning to kind of take us on a little journey throughout the film, show some of the sexy stuff early, so that way you can hook the audience and then you bring it back down. I think the storytelling is really good though.
Yeah, there's an inconsistency in lighting. I don't think he lights anything, which is okay, but everything else looks really well lit.
It's good.
And then you get to the reception stuff, and
we've got a lot of comments talking about how he should have tried using the Adobe Podcast AI.
Agreed.
Night and day.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
I actually agree. I think that would have cleaned it pretty well.
But if if you're going to use a lot of audio from the bride, you got to find a way to get that audio captured in a little bit, because you have proximity effect and it just doesn't sound good. So. All right.
All right. So up next we have Sublime Exposures, another member. Guys, if you want priority in getting your films reviewed, consider becoming a member. It costs just $5, and that goes well beyond this week, and helps support the channel. So, interesting comment. I just want to read it here that was submitted here. This is Cody from Sublime Exposures, and he says that they are trying to break into the high-end market.
Okay.
So they want the highest level feedback possible. And I think if there's anybody here,
I'm taking the gloves off.
Who we can have as a guest to comment on that, it would be this guy right
Cody.
now. So
I'll just say, who are the top planners in your market? Who are the top photographers in your market? What are the top venues in your market? and then
There's a
take
business side.
learn
of
that, and then take this feedback. So here we go. Let's do this. The best film ever made. Go.
When Ben first started dating Abby, we knew who she was, obviously, because it's Grand Forks, but we didn't know her, and I was like, what's Abby like? And Ben said, and I quote, she is a lot like you, but way cooler.
Abby.
Ray, right off the bat, how do you feel about the light kind of Valley Girl tone over that very elevated music?
Yeah, I mean, look, here's the thing, and I'm not gonna be a little bit harsh here. I'm gonna be a little bit real. Okay. You know, when I watch this video, I see a video that looks like, 90% of the wedding videos out there. And it's very beautiful, don't get me wrong. But the thing is that you have a lot of videographers out there that produce really nice work, but when I'm looking at this, I just see another wedding video. Like, I'm not seeing anything that's been thought up differently. And I'm not seeing anything that really is going to set yourself apart from the other 99% of wedding videographers out there. So I say, from a shooting standpoint, you're there. But from an editing standpoint, your presentation just needs to be a little bit different, because this is just, 90% of the wedding videographers out there are putting out something like this. Obviously not of the same quality, but it just feels and looks the same. It's very predictable when I watch it. And you have to remember, if you're going to really target the high profile sector of this industry, you got to be the 1%. They have to be able to look at your work and say, oh my God, this is so much better than anything else that I've ever seen.
Well, and also they know how to be high end. I could tell you, if you can see my mouse over there in the left corner, Ray.
Yeah, that parking lot.
That's not high end.
Well, okay, so I want to say one thing. So I heard it. I didn't see this in comments, but I heard it from this speech. They mentioned Grand Forks. That's North Dakota. And I don't, look, there's money everywhere. But I will say high end, like for example, high end, like what you're doing, Ray, versus maybe they need to qualify what that means, because it could mean the high end market in Grand Forks, and that's going to be a lot different. Not to say that obviously your comments and your thought process there is the bad thing for them, because obviously that would.
Well, I would say what's good for the goose is good for the gander when it comes to
but listen, guys, this is the reality. If you're really high end, if you're truly in that 1%, less than 1%, you're not a local videographer.
Yep.
There's not a high profile wedding cinematographer in the world that only does weddings in their backyards. All these filmmakers, they're all international. So, so as soon as you tell me you only shoot weddings in your backyard, I'm like, they're not a legitimate high profile wedding cinematographer.
Well, and so I think that's where it's it would have been great if they were in chat. I don't think that they are, to really qualify that statement. Of
and also,
are you using high end, but really what you mean is I want to do the upper tier.
This is how
upper tier weddings in my local.
This
market.
Is how I say, Ray, is there's the vast consumer market, right? And then there's wedding industry market, where it's you're doing country clubs, right? They're professional weddings, but they're not super fancy. You're talking the $30,000 wedding, right? Then there's high end. High end is what I'm doing on a weekly basis. Newport weddings, 6-figure weddings. They're not luxury, but they're very nice. They have full service planners. They have full 30 to 40 vendor teams, right? Then there's luxury. And that's a whole other level. And so I think if you're talking, I would never recommend somebody try to become a luxury filmmaker. There's so much luck involved in that. You could go for it, chase your dreams. I think most people, though, Ray, and tell me if you're wrong or if you think I'm wrong, most people can shoot with the best planners in their area, the best venues, solid budgets, high-end weddings. most people can accomplish that if they can understand how to make the best possible films in their area.
All right, Jason. But here's the thing: everything comes down to money, because you could be a mid-range wedding videographer by price, and you're working a high-end event, like a 6 or 7 figure event, but you're not charging like a 6 or 7 figure wedding cinematographer. And I feel this also happens, right? Is like everybody wants to be high-end, but nobody wants to let go of the middle market, because the middle market is the most popular market.
So juicy and delicious.
Because that's kind of, yeah, it's juicy and delicious, and it's always there. Like that middle market, like Jason says, it's the most popular market there is, right? There's 80% of the clients are there, and nobody wants to really let it go. And it's not until you really let it go that you're going to be truly high-end.
But I don't think you could become truly high-end if you don't know how to work with local planners. I'll tell you that. Like if you can't shoot local planner porn, you can't.
Local planners aren't, Jason, but listen, local planners aren't the creme de la creme planners.
You can't work with the creme
there's
de la
no such there's no such thing as a high profile planner around the world that's classified as like a local planner. These are not local planners. These are international wedding planners that are doing the best events in the world, and the best wedding cinematographers, like the ones that are truly in the high profile market. These are all international filmmakers. These are not guys that are just working in their backyard. They're working all over the world, and these are guys and girls that have detached themselves from the middle market. They are only targeting these high profile stuff. And I'll tell you, it's a little bit nerve wracking, of course, to let go of the middle market, because that's your comfort zone, right? Like you can always book jobs in the middle market because that's the popular market. But when you're talking about just targeting the top 1% of weddings,
let's hear this, Ray. Let's hear how these interviews sound. We'll hear this.
We're convinced you're going to make it forever and ever. Very, very happy for you.
Okay, so this is distinctly.
I just used this song.
But this is distinctly not high end. This is what I'm saying is like you're showing things throughout the film that are not high end looking. There's trash. There's little things in there. There's some like you can't have.
There's no thought process. Listen, guys, you have to have thought process behind like every single shot. Before you hit record, you should be thinking about lighting, angles, lens choice, your backgrounds. And if you're not thinking about those 4 things, I wouldn't hit my record button, because I know for me in post, it's just going to be a throwaway shot.
Yep.
A lot of guys would leave weddings then with 0 footage, unfortunately.
Well, it's about like, can you curate your own like
your look and
like.
Look, this team, Sublime, they definitely have a shooter on this team that's an advanced shooter. I love the footage. But it's the totality of the film that you're looking at. Yes. What does the entire thing look like? Again, like I think the video that we showed prior to this, I was going to tell you guys that he's got really good chemistry with his team. They know exactly where to be. They know how to complement his shots, and they're just really executing a plan. And, a lot of people aren't able to execute a plan on a wedding day with their entire team. So, like half the video looks good and the other half looks a little bit shoddy.
Yep.
So there's got to be a consistency throughout.
Ray, this next filmmaker is a really solid filmmaker. I would say they're rising up, at least in their area. I think they're like 3 or 4 years in.
Before we move on to Max here.
Yes. Did we get some feedback?
What's up?
Did people not like what I said?
He said watch this one till 2:18. No, I just want to hear, because we got a lot of comments commenting the previous film that we just watched on the color grade and it being pretty green. Did you guys feel similar?
I felt like the color. I wasn't going to say anything, Ray, but the color was pretty mediocre throughout the film. Okay. It felt like some of it was pretty loggy. I felt like there was multiple cameras involved. He didn't color match them properly, and then there was no. This is the thing about high end.
You're a lack of consistency.
You're a brand at that point. Like what I'll say is like to be a high-end filmmaker, you have to have a brand. And that means like everything about how you shoot, how you storytell, every image looking like it's part of your brand. You're creating a universe. what's your universe? I had a hard time getting a sense of like, where are you bringing me? What's your universe? What's your storytelling motif? Like, and part of that is your color. The color was all over the place.
So yeah, another place to just look at trying to up your quality and up your films. So Max Smith is in chat. This is coming from Max Smith. And he says, watch this one until it's either 2:18 or 2:14, whenever the fast part stops. Max is a super solid filmmaker. I'm excited to see watch his films.
So I was going to say something, Ray, about this one. So Max is pretty much known for doing like these very personal interviews with his film. I think this one he's trying to do more of like a hype kind of thing and kind of bring that into the film. So I'm excited to see where kind of how they evolve and grow as a filmmaker. So here we go.
How about a quick hand for everyone who's had a hand in putting this whole thing together? Isn't this incredible? Great, huh? I think the only time you may have dropped the ball is, taking the guy with no public speaking experience and giving him a microphone in front of 300 people.
When Monica asked me to be her maid of honor, I felt absolutely thrilled. She told me that I had to keep the speech short and sweet and to 3 minutes on the dot. So here it goes.
Got to get another lens on that.
I'll love you forever.
Kiss me.
Okay, so that's the intro. What are your thoughts, Ray?
Oh, how long is the film?
7 minutes. Do you
Is
want
that
to
like the
7 minutes? That's about
7 minutes. So what did they do? They did
like an intro thing. Here,
like
let me play
intro?
just like 30 seconds of the next part. It'll give you some context.
We have bowls for dinner.
Dan made it all.
This is, I think, a little more of like his normal style.
These like in-home sessions, kind of.
Yeah. Feels good.
I knew Monica was going to be a doctor when we were 4 years old. There is a home video of us that Uncle Dan shot where Monica is incessantly taking a Kleenex and trying to blow my nose for me to the point where I'm just trying to get away from her.
So
I feel like, look, I feel like the beginning was just too long. Like, for like an intro thing, that's kind of crazy. I felt like it dragged on too long. It was very repetitive because all I'm seeing is party shots. I felt like in some parts the visuals really didn't keep up to the fast-paced music, so it felt a little bit forced. But the other thing that you got to remember is, like, if you're going to do a teaser like that, there's got to be some kind of sense of balance, right? Like, this thing was probably like all the shots, combined. There was probably like 80% party shots, and then like 10 or 20% everything else, things like that. So I just felt like I was just watching a party. Like I said, like the visuals really didn't keep up with the music, and I didn't know what I was watching actually, because it was just I didn't feel like I was watching somebody's wedding. But I like, again, I can't I'm not here to dictate styles. I'm just here to kind of just give some of my own feedback based on what I'm doing. But now that it gets into the main film, it kind of makes sense. They want to get them excited at the beginning, but I feel like that segment at the beginning was just too long. Like if you're gonna do a segment to get them excited like that, make it like 30, 40 seconds, because
I would 100% agree, Ray.
Yeah, if it's a minute and a half of the same thing, it just got too repetitive and it just drug on too long.
I felt the exact same thing, Ray. I was thinking like it's too long. It should have had more of a. It should have had more of like a.
It's great.
It should have shown more of the wedding, not just the dance footage. And then it did highlight to me, like the more you show areas where it could be better. Like you just keep showing, and I kept thinking in my head, like, why don't they have a tight lens on any of that dancing? Like the arms moving, like where's that sense of like it was just the same wide lens on the entire thing.
Yeah, and then like it threw me off because there was no consistency in the shooting style either, because you had like really locked down solid shots, and then you had these really shaky shots, and then everything else was like solid shot. So these guys that want to shoot like a handheld type of look, they should really look to people like I think like 3-1 Films. They do it really well, where they've got like subtle movements to the camera. But if you watch the films, it's consistent throughout the film. So visually, everything kind of makes sense.
This is incredible. Oh my God, this planner's design is so good, Ray.
And the shots are beautiful. Look how gorgeous the shots are.
I'm thinking like, see the wall spent, and you're like showing like whoosh, and you show that room, and you show those tables, and like I always tell people, I'm like, you gotta front load it with planner content. Like
the shots are there.
This is dope looking. This is insane looking. Like, and you shot it really well, Max. I want to hear like how they brought the end in, Ray. I want to see where do they take this thing audio wise.
These are gorgeous shots.
Oh, there. I would have liked some of that at the beginning, for sure. In that, one thing I will say,
I felt like.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I felt like this song fit the visuals a lot better than the song at the beginning.
I would agree.
This feels better. Like it feels really nice.
I mean, clearly, one of the biggest, hardest things is when you have a wedding that's just has so much good stuff and you just can't edit. And like this couple gave you everything. They gave you a portrait session that was really like extra sexy. You got a cool homey stuff. You got good looking people. They gave you a choreographed dance. They give you a lit dance floor. Like you got everything here. So I do understand the challenge of like, how do I jam all this in a film? What do you say, Ray? You're probably more accustomed to insane weddings where you actually have to make hard choices with edits. For you, when you're shooting these high-end events where there's all this pomp and circumstance and all this amazing stuff, how do you make a decision about what goes in a film and what hits the cutting room floor?
It's just look, it's just like when you watch the film that I did in New Zealand and you thought like the decor wasn't all that. It's the same, it wasn't like a big $1 million decor situation. It was very minimal. There was a low number of guests, but here's the thing. Every shot that I put in the film was very well thought out.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's why when I talk about thought process, before you hit that record button, make sure you're doing 4 things. You're looking at the lighting, the angles, your lens choice, and the background. If you do those 4 things before you hit record, I'm telling you, the majority of your shots are going to be usable in post.
Yeah, but what about when you got so much good stuff? Like, how do you know? Like, how do you make a decision about what
You just have
makes
to
the
focus
film?
on other things. Well, the other thing is, you want to kind of mix up your compositions. So you're making the same things look like a million different things. But like in post, sure, there's tons of throwaway shots, but it puts you in a great situation because you have so many creative decisions that you can make based on all this content. It's better than lacking content.
I would say this film would be much stronger at 6.5 minutes too, instead of 8.
Yeah, he's got to tighten it up. And look, here's the other thing that I would tell Max is this style, like his whole opening, I've been seeing that a lot. I've been seeing a lot of videographers do like all the same stuff because that's what videographers do. Everybody copies each other and they copy the most popular stuff. And if Max really wants to separate himself from the crowd, he's going to have to figure out a way to develop something that other people are going to want to copy. Stuff like that. If you just want to kind of look like everybody else, then you just keep doing stuff like this. But I tell you, Max shoots really well. I love a lot of these shots.
It's really solid.
I love the lighting, the angles. Yeah, really solid stuff. And he's good. I would just say, like, if you're looking to separate yourself from the pack, you're gonna have to do something a little bit different.
I actually think that this was his break, like towards the norm.
Maybe everybody's copying him. Yeah.
Well, no, not so much that, but
Yeah.
the other films, and unfair to you, Ray, because it's not this film. But I think Jay and I, we've seen his other films. We kind of prefaced before this film talking about his in-home sessions, these little interviews he does, and I think that's pretty unique to him. And he kind of strayed away from it for this.
This
film.
is a little more of a like Bottle Brush meets Ray Roman
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
So maybe the overall feedback is maybe while beautiful and fun and whatever, maybe you've been onto something with your other films and lean back into that and yeah, really lean
This
back
person
into that.
monetized their video. That makes me not want to play it.
So ad break for VRBO, guys.
Okay, let's do one more, guys. But also, let's get to any questions that we have in chat. If there's any, you got.
Yeah, shoot some questions.
Yeah, we're going to be doing a podcast with Ray later. So if you got any questions you guys want covered in the podcast, throw them in there, and maybe we can get to them in the podcast. But let's do one more. Let's do the next one. Sanders Media.
So this is Sanders Media, and this is filmed on a Z-Cam.
By the way, guys, I would say we had like over 40 submissions today. So
Yeah, we
we
had a lot.
apologize. We couldn't get to all of them, and we're really grateful for everyone participating. So, a Z-Cam. I don't know if you've ever messed with one of those, Bob, or guys, but
I have not. I almost got one once.
I
and
think
then
it's open
decided,
source, isn't
"Meh."
it? Like it's a whole it's a whole snobby thing.
Sounds right.
Yeah. So here we go. It's better be really good. Okay, I like that.
This FPV.
I hate parking lots though.
Wanjo, I don't see your submission.
Pretty.
Sierra, where do I begin? Our love story is far from ordinary. Deciding to date your partner's daughter comes with its fair share of shock and scandal. At first, I was a little bit worried about our differences. I was worried we had come from places too far apart to understand one another. But I was so wrong. None of that mattered. I guess I never thought I would find someone like you, someone who'd make me this happy and love me this fiercely. It took so long to find you, yet you came exactly when I needed you. I knew you were someone special from the moment I met you. I couldn't get enough of the way you looked at me, talked to me, and made me feel. I adore your kind smile and your gentle eyes. You have so much good in you. I love your not-so-quiet strength and your desire to do right. You have so much love for children. When I see you with them, your beaming smile fills my heart with joy. I cannot wait for you to be a mother. You are, without a doubt, the most wonderful thing in my life. I can't imagine a day without you, and I vow to make you feel as special as you make me feel.
Yeah, I'm gonna skip a little because
When I think back over...
This guy's been going too long.
Yeah,
You give me a reason to strive.
Oh my gosh, dude. He's still talking 2.5 minutes into the film.
How long is the video?
It's 7 minutes long, but like he's still in the vows, like
It's
2.5 minutes
long,
in.
but you know, there's got to come a
promise I will do the
certain
best
point where you cut
for
this
yours.
off.
Still going.
Little girl. I couldn't have imagined a better person to be standing.
So I'm not a fan of that construction, Ray, of like should play the whole private vows, 2.5 minutes of the groom. Now I think he's probably about to play the entire of the bride.
Carpenter bar.
So it's like this whole skeleton
You know,
of the piece.
more than you know what it is more than anything.
Our
You're
first
just not seeing anything. You have it seen already in the first minute, right? You haven't really seen anything to keep you engaged with the film. And then, you know, the other thing is like he's talking about her and I'm seeing shots for a long time of just details instead of, you know, introducing maybe some of those bride prep shots, maybe some candid shots, maybe shots like this. I want to see her, you know, as he's talking about her, I want to see that stuff tied into the visuals.
But do you need
as a viewer?
After seeing you with
Do you need like 7 minutes of vow reading?
No, you don't need so much talking because it just wears the viewer out, right? Because you've already heard their voice, you get the gist of it. You know, you there comes a certain point where you got to move on.
How do you
know,
feel
gotta
about
move
this
on to some other
camera
content.
right there in every one of these shots?
No, it's just, you know, the planning was not good if your cameras are in your shots like this. You know, but this is probably like a solo shooter, I'm imagining, and he's trying to operate 2 or 3 different cameras. So I can't knock the filmmaker. I would never attempt that stuff, but I know there's you know, there's guys and girls out there that you know, they do the solo shooter stuff. It's very difficult.
Oh, that's a no for me right there.
What did you see?
So if you're shooting people kissing, guys, and you slow their kiss down, and it looks like
Bro,
this.
you're picky, man.
No,
Jay hates this. This is a Jay classic.
If I
Dude,
go in,
you're picky,
look
man.
at this dude's bottom lip.
You're looking at his bottom lip.
Would you want to be? I mean, I sold 220 films last year for a reason. Like, so it's like I'm looking at everybody's bottom lip. I'm looking at because it's all about how you portray someone. Like kisses should make people feel sexy. They shouldn't look at a kiss.
Yeah.
So here's what I'll tell you.
You should see some of my couples kiss. Jeez.
Put it in normal speed. Don't slow it down. Like kissing is a inherently weird thing. Like when someone's like kissing and they're
Dude,
like,
your eyes are crazy.
like look at this guy.
Maybe you're watching it full screen.
I'm seeing a better view than you guys are.
Jay is zoomed
Come
in
on.
like 250.
I saw the veil in the sun. I thought it was
It is nice, but I'm saying like you
but
could
now
just.
that you're pointing it out, I'm always going to be looking at the groom's lips.
Now I can't see anything else.
But it's like just like try to like
Thanks,
portray your
Jay.
couples in ways where they look the most favorable in every shot, and some of it's the speed they're moving. Some of it's like the way they're looking. Like what drives me nuts in a film, Ray, is
Dude,
when
he's got.
Go ahead.
You know, if he would have introduced some of these shots at the beginning, this
Very-
would have kept me a lot more engaged because the groom was talking about the bride. You know, the movement there, he should have just had that shot locked down on a tripod because that floating camera thing just, you know, it throws me for a loop.
Well, it's the song too. It's like this really brooding song, serious, like bum bum bum, and it's like
he needs to get off the gimbal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people need to get off the gimbal.
Yeah, you got to get off the gimbal. Listen, when people are speaking, put the camera on a tripod. Just get off the gimbal. It's not the time. You know, like I would much prefer to have a solid shot of beautiful words than a camera that's kind of like jerking forward and backwards and it's kind of all over the place. It just, you know, it disrupts the flow of the film.
Yeah.
It's really about like, can you take the normal wedding moments and make them bangers? Not just your FPV, not just like the super produced shots, but every moment of the day. Can you give it like that sense of drama? And
If you notice, all the shots are the same composition. So that just tells me that, you know, it's the
You're
same
on a
lens on the
24,
same camera on
70
the,
or
on the
whatever,
gimbal.
50 on the gimbal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Jay, could we fit in one more?
Yeah, let's fit in one more.
Sorry, go ahead. One more for somebody who just became a member. I think that's a good way to do it. Do you want me to send it to you, Jay?
Yeah, just Slack it.
I have it here. Okay. And then while we do that, guys.
While we do that,
we'll get
Ray,
this
just tell
queued
everybody
up.
how to become a luxury filmmaker. Go for that. Go.
Yeah. 30 seconds. But no, guys, while we do that, if you want to hit us any questions, I feel like at the end here, we can maybe do a few minutes of Q&A. So any questions you have, I mean, I assume you're going to, we'll all comment, but we do have Ray here as a special guest. So any questions, shoot them in chat right now while we get this next one queued up. Yeah.
Here we go.
You got that one?
This is it right here.
I think so. Yeah. For one more films.
One more film for one more. Film.
One more. There we go.
One more film.
Come on, just one more film.
Altoids don't love.
Don't
that.
like the Altoids. Really good sense of motion. This is just a teaser, by the way, guys. This is just a teaser, by the way. All right, Ray. I got stuff to say about this one, but why don't you go, Ray?
I mean, look, it didn't mean anything. It was just, a series of shots strung together. I thought there was a lot of shots in here that are very creative. I really enjoyed it. I feel like there's a lot of eye candy. The only question that I have is, will the main film look as eye-popping as this teaser?
Yes,
stuff like that. Because I didn't learn anything about the couple from watching this teaser. That kind of thing. I saw a million different shots strung together to this soundtrack. So I don't know. I'd have to see the main wedding film. Because that's the thing. Like, you can't just be strong with the teaser. Your wedding film should be equally as strong or better than the teaser.
And this is my thing with teasers. I see a lot of films like this where basically, like, it's all about the editing, right? And that's great. That is awesome. You can go really far on incredible editing. Storytelling wise, and I don't mean storytelling as like a word for put lots of talking. I mean, like, what are you trying to do? Where are you trying to take me? What are you trying to communicate? And what I saw here was a light there wasn't a lot of portraits of the couple, right? Which is what I would expect out of a film this short. I would expect to see really sexy shots of the couple interacting. There wasn't a lot of that. There wasn't any reception or details, nothing that elevated the film or gave it a sense. It was just really well shot party footage.
Yeah.
And it was like from 45 seconds on.
It was a little bit long.
Yeah.
It was a little bit long. I felt like this should have been a minute teaser.
Yeah, that
then
extra
it totally makes sense.
Or something.
That extra 30 seconds of the party footage kind of dragged it down.
Also,
if it's 1:30 or more, I feel like I should know something about the wedding and the couple.
I agree.
So this just kind of drug on a little bit too much.
Okay, before we jump into a few questions from chat, I think this prompts a question. This is kind of what we started with. How do you, I guess, Ray, you kind of brought this up, but I think Ray and Jay, you can both answer. How do you feel? You mentioned like what is the actual film going to look like? Do you feel like if you put out a teaser like this, does the actual film need to have a similar feel, or can you totally 180 and do like a slow, romantic, film,
Yeah.
or you know what I mean? Like,
I
how
think
much do they have to match?
Yeah, I think you should have not necessarily like a slower film, but it should match whatever the vibe of the wedding was. So it was kind of like upbeat, crazy. I think that's what the wedding's going to show. I think at some point these wedding clients, they want to experience their wedding, not just your creativity throughout,
Yeah, I think that's
7,
like
8, 9 minutes.
the thing that like if you're in this game a long time, you start understanding that like for all the cool stuff you can do, it's about the couple.
Yeah, you got to find the balance between your creativity and what the client's going to want to see and what they're expecting to see and things like that. Listen, especially like in the, in the high-end arena, a lot of these weddings are being paid for by the parents, and the parents are very old school, and they still don't understand how you're going to be at this wedding for, 1 or 2 days, and you're going to give them 9 minutes.
Yeah.
So there's an art to that. There's an art to creating a film that makes them feel like they've experienced the entire thing. And if you're not able to do that, you're just not going to get away with a short film with these folks.
I would say this one too, if there was some audio from the day, like people, even like you're doing the party stuff, I want to hear people laughing. I want to feel like the day is happening, and even in a teaser. And I also think I would have liked to seen a better portrait session with the couple. Like there was no like sick portrait session.
Yeah, it didn't really exist.
It was just kind of like,
all right.
Anyway,
moving on to some
great
questions.
editing.
So this one might come from some discussion we had earlier, but what do you consider middle market price range?
Ray or me?
Either.
I'd like Ray to answer. We might have different opinions on that.
Yeah. Middle, I would say, is 3 to 7. Is kind of like your mid-low to mid-high. But
Probably
you're still
kind of
attached
depends
to the
slightly
middle.
where you are.
Yeah. Like I said, like you have to be able, if you just want to target high end, you have to detach yourself from the middle market somehow, some way.
I would say,
because,
Ray, I would ask you, like, how many market segments do you really see? Like, how do you break it up in terms of like market segments?
Low, medium, high.
Okay.
Medium is your most popular market, right? That's why you have kind of like you've got a mid, you got a low mid, and you got a mid high.
So let me ask you about what I'm doing,
Yeah.
Ray. So I'm shooting a lot of $9,000 events. Is that high or mid?
Right.
For like,
Jay just picked a number.
Look, Jason, this is the reality. You are still attached to the middle.
Yes.
You don't want to let it go.
No, it's
it's your business model because you're doing more volume, so it makes sense as a business person not to let go of the most.
Well, and I will say
popular
for the
market out
Huxley
there.
film stuff for my boutique brand, we're in the 12 to 14.
Yeah. There you go. So, but that's your boutique brand.
Yes.
That is completely detached from the middle.
Yes.
You know?
I won't even. We won't even shoot a wedding if they don't have a full service planner.
That's what I'm talking about. But that brand is completely detached from the middle. So
Yep.
you get it.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is what I'll tell people. Based on my 1,500 leads last year and selling 220 events at 3 different market levels, some of it is every market presents differently. So it's like at the very bottom of the market, it's all about price and value of what you're offering. So like you need to give people a good amount of videos that they expect at a price they can afford. The middle of the market is more about brand trust, and you start building into those like, oh, well, have you been around a while? And
yeah, your past client referred you.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. The top of the market is all about exclusivity. And so it's like, depending on what you're selling to who, I always add in a third market, Ray, because I've seen the sales in a weird thing, which is like low, anything less than $3,000, 2,500 really, depending on some regions, 2,500 to 6, what I would consider to be mid. 6 to 11, I consider to be high. Anything over 10 plus,
I
consistently.
don't think there's a 6 to 11. I don't think there's 6 to 11. That's too much. That's too much. You're taking the mid. 6 is mid.
I consider it to be
like hands down 6 is mid.
I consider it to be high-end weddings. High-end weddings.
Do you think?
Yeah, because it's mid-high. Those are high-end weddings.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about, luxury is in my mind is luxury. That's 6-7 figure wedding budgets.
Yes.
You know, this kind of thing. So yeah, no, those look, the $6,000 or $7,000 videographers, they're definitely doing high-end events, you know, without question. But it's the mid-high, you know, which is high-end, but you're still attached to the middle.
It's a segment within mid.
But the reason why I bring it up, Ray, is I've heard it referred to a few times, and I've seen it, is like that 6 to 10 grand land is no man's land. Like, you have a major price resistance point at that point, and if you don't find a way to break through at that price point, like once you break over like 10, 11, you can start charging 20, right? If you're good enough and you can find the right clients. But a lot of people get stuck from that 5, like in that no man's land. Like, it's easy to ascend out.
But you know why though, is because you know, videographers out there think that they've made the jump from the mid to the high once they're charging like 6,000 or 7,000.
Yes.
But they really haven't. They haven't really separated themselves from other videographers that are making, say, 5,000 or 4,500. Right? It's not enough of a gap. You know, like $1,000, $1,500. For rich people, it's all the same. You know, somebody charging 4,500 and somebody charging 5,500. It's the same thing. It's the middle.
Yes.
You know, that kind of thing. The high is the high. There's clear separation between the guys in the high and the guys in the mid. You know, if you're charging a little bit more, 7,000, 6,000, things like that, you're mid-high. You're still attached to that middle.
Yes.
You know, you have to create separation.
Yeah, and a lot of that comes down to who you know and getting into the right places. But a lot of it is your films too. It's like they got to be something special.
But a lot of it is the market. It's the clients, because it's still the middle market. It's the most popular market out there. I feel like once you detach yourself from the middle completely, like your high-end brand, it's a completely different set of clients at that point. You know, the budgets are different. The planners are different. Everybody's different, because those are vendors that have detached themselves from the middle market. Not just us. Those planners have detached themselves from the middle, right?
Yep.
So if you're still dealing with middle budget planners, you're still going to be getting middle budget weddings, whether they're low, medium, or high. There's, you know, they're all somehow attached to the middle. You know, they may be high end, but maybe the next wedding that same planner gives you is going to be something that's a little bit more middle.
And I was going to say, Ray, you know, for the audience, like, we're not advocating for everyone to be a luxury wedding filmmaker. Like, we're not ripping on anyone who shoots at any certain price. Like, it's not, we're just simply saying, like,
we're just answering the question.
Careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Hey, listen, everybody's business model is not the same. Like, your non-luxury brand needs to target the middle section. So, you know, a lot of companies out there, they need that middle market, you know, but if you're more boutique, if you truly want to do just 15 or 20 jobs a year, you're going to have to detach yourself from the middle market. You know, those are the video companies that need to detach themselves from the middle. But if you're pumping out like high volume, you're going to need to rely on that middle market.
Yep.
All right, next question we have here. Ray, have you used an FPV drone in your films yet?
Yes.
The end.
There you
Next.
have it. Yeah.
They look up. If they look up on my website, I have one. Rebecca and Raphael. They'll see the FPV drone in that. Yeah.
Okay. So this one says, how much time? I'm gonna tweak this a little bit. How much time on average do you spend? It says at a staged outdoor session with the couple on a wedding day. I'm assuming that's asking about romantics.
Maybe.
How much time you typically have for that?
Sometimes I get 1 minute. Sometimes I get 5 minutes, and maybe sometimes 10 minutes. It really just depends on the schedule.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, like these big time luxury weddings. I mean, if you talk to any of those filmmakers that are doing these events, they're going to tell you the same thing. These things are pure chaos. right? There's no time for anything. And a lot of those brides don't even want to be outside. They want to shoot for 5 minutes and be done.
Yeah.
So you don't get more time in the luxury, you get less time. But you're going to have to be really efficient and think quicker.
Yep. And that's where that comes in, where you're saying, think about your lens choice, your lighting, your angles, etc., before you hit record, because everything has to be spot on.
Yep. Want to do one more question?
Okay, I'll do this real quick one, which is, Ray, are we able to see any of your full films, not the 3 to 6 minute cuts? Is that available anywhere? Or are those
if you come to my workshop, it's April 17th, 2023. I'll be showcasing some full wedding films.
How do we? We're gonna.
If they go to weddingfilmschool.com, they can register there. Hey, you didn't own it back then, all right?
Yeah. But
so weddingfilmschool.com, which is Ray's workshop,
not associated with us at all.
It's unaffiliated with Wedding Film School, but it's just for my workshop. So you can sign up, get registered. It's going to be in Fort Lauderdale. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Sweet. And when is that? Did you already say?
April 17th. Coming up next month.
Yeah.
All right. So last question here. Ray, do you bring lighting, or do you hire a separate lighting team, or does the couple hire their own lighting team?
The only people at my events is myself and Jessica, my wife. I bring all my own lights, all my own audio, all the cameras, everything.
Ray,
everything you see done is me and Jessica.
When you're shooting Boston, I'm glad to help out. I'm glad to help set up.
I have one coming up in Boston, actually.
Yeah.
I'm invading your turf.
Yeah. Well, I've never shot at that place, so
it's only for one. I love Boston for the lobster rolls. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
That'll be fun. Okay, do we have any last second ones, real quick, or are we good, Bobby?
Ray, what's a full wedding film for you? What length?
10 minutes.
Roughly 10 minutes. Cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. I feel like we hit on a lot of stuff. Guys, I hope you found this useful. Many thanks, Ray. Many thanks to you, of course, for joining. I know we see you in chat here and there throughout our streams, which is typically Thursdays at this same time at noon Central Eastern. But love having you on live.
Why do you bother with coming to our stream, Ray? You're the master.
I love it. And listen, there's always things to pick up. And trust me, I want to keep evolving myself and getting better. And you know what? Just by looking at your film critiques, like your weekly film critiques, I'm able to keep kind of training my eye on things, right? So I love it. And I love the camaraderie of the industry. And if I can jump in a chat for an hour and kind of just, chat with my peers, I love it, because I feel like one of the guys, things like that. So I'm going to continue to do it.
Love it. Yeah, we'd love to, of course, have you some other time as well, or multiple other times. We've got multiple people in chat who are saying that they are already signed up for your workshop, so you'll definitely be seeing some of the people who were here.
Oh, we got a great group coming.
I'm sure it will be amazing. Awesome. Anything else, Jay or Ray, before we kind of wrap up here?
I just love you all. Appreciative. Drop a like.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, for sharing.
Watch the lower lips. Watch those lower lips.
Watch the groom faces.
Jason's going to rip you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We will be back. So typically we're here on Thursdays. We will not be here tomorrow. This was instead of that, but starting next week again, every Thursday, we'll be back right here on the Wedding Film School channel. You can also check out our sister channel, the Wedding Film School Show, where we have our podcast. We just dropped our season 3 premiere, and then our second episode. First one was on Tolman Media, which is a hot topic in the wedding film industry right now. Second one was with a high-end planner, who shared just some awesome insight on what planners are looking for. And we have tons of awesome guests, including, I think, Jay, we have Ray coming on at some point. Does that sound right?
Yeah, we're going to record an interview right now with Ray, and he'll be on in a little bit.
Sweet. So, yeah, we've got plenty of awesome stuff over there. Leave a like on your way out, and we will see you next week. You can start submitting your films now. Thank you so much for coming, and we'll see you next week.
Oh, I like it when it ends right at the right end.